So this is another video in response to ArcherSage. I will try and keep this one very short. The dispute we are having hinges on 2 points. The first point is, was the spaceship in sunlight at the time that the film that he shows was taken? And I think I'll go over the log and prove that that is the case. It most definitely was in sunlight. The second question is whether this light being seen here in this particular picture and in others stills taken from that film, whether that light is caused by sunlight or could be caused by sunlight reflecting from the rim of this window, which, although circular on the inside, is not circular throughout, and it's several inches thick from front to back, and is not circular on the outside, or whether it is of the Earth. And I contend that it is at least as likely that it is sunlight reflected. In fact, it's far more likely that it is sunlight reflected than it is that it is the Earth, and that this was taken when the astronauts and the spaceship was in low Earth orbit. Let's move on to the next picture just to remind ourselves of what the capsule is like. So the capsule and the window are like this. You can see how thick this door is. Okay, you've got to imagine there's room inside here for 3 astronauts and all the necessary equipment to get them safely back from the moon. This section was attached to a larger section which had fuel and other things to get them to the moon, but this is sufficient to get them back and to keep them alive all the way through the journey. An extremely thick door with a window in it, and you can see that there's a rim here which is relatively narrow, and then at least the same and probably 2 or 3 times more depth to that surface. Looking from another angle with the door closed, you can see that the outside shape here is not round, it is square-ish, or at least has straight edges, and that any light reflecting off here would be limited by the straight edge. So light coming down at this angle and viewed from inside, you would see the straight edge of this outside window here. Looking again from the opposite side, you can see clearly how thick, how wide this doorway actually is, how much reflective surface there would be for sunlight striking down upon here to actually hit. And the sunlight could have been reflected sunlight coming from the lunar landing module, which was attached at the top here to the capsule, and light could hit, the sunlight could have struck it and be reflected down, as well as coming in directly. Obviously, we don't know the precise orientation of the spacecraft, the sun, and the lunar module, but there are many explanations. We know that there was lots of light coming in through these smaller windows and light coming in through at least one of these side windows here, and so the chances are that the sunlight was maybe coming in from this direction, hitting the LEM, hitting the module itself, the capsule itself, hitting the lunar module, being reflected down and coming directly towards these windows, and possibly just striking this at an angle, because reflecting off the LEM, or just the fact that this is a circular thing would mean that the light would only be catching at an angle and maybe one side of this. And that's exactly what we see when we look at the image here. Sunlight is coming in, it's not striking this side, it is striking the base and it is striking this side of the window frame and being reflected in towards the capsule itself. Okay, so now we come to the question of whether it was dark outside or whether the spacecraft was in sunlight. This is a transcript of the conversations between the astronauts and mission control, which are in the recording that ArcherSage has published. And this is the transcript of the full mission, and everything is dated or on timed. So these numbers here refer to the days. That's 3 days into the mission. Hours, 0 hours. Minutes, 38 minutes, and 15 seconds. And ArcherSage is referring in his latest video to a comment that they will be entering shadow in about 15 minutes. Okay, so you can read all of this yourself, highlighted in yellow, but the important sentence is also in about 15 minutes we will enter the shadow of the moon and make our major burn to enter lunar orbit in approximately 3 hours. So 38 minutes 15 seconds in, he's saying that in about 15 minutes, not exactly 15 minutes, but about 15 minutes, they will enter the shadow of the moon. So at this point, they are clearly in sunlight. So if we scroll on, they're discussing how the Earth looks, and they're referring to small Earth that they can see, and that is being filmed and is being shown. Clearly the Earth is small from the spacecraft. And we move on to 3 hours and 3 days, 0 hours, 43 minutes and 12 seconds. And the comment here is the sun is pretty bright in the background, coming in through the, I guess that's the hatch window. And this is mission control seeing what they can see. Okay, no, side window, I guess it is. Right, so they're not quite sure exactly which window they're looking at because the camera's moving around, but they see sun coming in at 44 minutes 32 seconds. We've got your arm patch now. That's very dim at this setting, so the only reason that the flag on the arm is dim is because of the setting used on the camera. Okay, and they're saying that the flag is coming in a little bit better now. So as he moves, as they change the camera settings, they get it better so that they can view it. And then say we have a good view, we can see Gene now. And scrolling on, we come to 3 hours, 50 minutes and 28 seconds. We have you entering the lunar penumbra at this time. Do you notice the sun setting at all? So this is 12 minutes after the original comment that they would be entering the shadow in 15 minutes. And he says, we can't see the sun right now. We're not in the right attitude to see it. In this attitude, look at the Earth and everything. We can't get a picture of the sun that we can see. If there's any solar corona, they'll give it a shot. So they're saying as they go into sunset, they'll try to get a picture of the solar corona. So at the time of the picture that ArcherSage thinks is the Earth, we are absolutely certain that the spacecraft was in sunlight. And for ArcherSage to argue that the spacecraft is in complete darkness is just plain ridiculous. So in conclusion, I'm going to play the few minutes, it's probably about 10 or 15 minutes of the full mission video so that you have a complete record, and if you want to, you can tally this up with the transcript. I will, and the timings of the transcript. I will also put a link to some of these things in the description, so anyone who's interested can follow it up.
Tends to it at first, but now it's coming into a sort of an orangish brown, and we can see the South Atlantic and the cloud covers very well. It's the colors are very good. Over.
Roger. Again, the Sahara Desert, the Atlas Mountains, Morocco, Libya. We can see from here. It is an orange, a brownish orange. The nighttime, the Terminator has cut across the Suez Canal in most of Egypt and is now covering most of South Africa. I can see Spain. It is a greenish brown and is completely contrast with respect to North Africa. However, you may have difficulty seeing it on your set due to resolution at this distance. Again, you can see Brazil, but it's covered mostly with clouds at this time.
Roger, 10. We can
this
see.
Time, Apollo 10.
Go ahead. Go ahead, 10.
Roger. At this time, Apollo 10 is going through the preparation for the lunar orbit insertion burn, and after we lose contact from the Earth, the next time that we come around, to have contact with the Earth, we'll be at approximately a 60-mile by 170-mile orbit around the Moon. Right now, we cannot see the Moon, even though it is rapidly accelerating towards it by its mass. Over.
Roger, Tom. We copied. That's a very good description. We have difficulty seeing any landmass in our picture except for North Africa, and we can see the Terminator cutting across Africa. Europe, the landmasses of Europe are just sort of fade into a bluish color. It looks like an ocean to us. Over.
Right. Really, the only major landmass we can see is exactly what you can see on your set there, and that is the North African continent. Most of Europe is covered by either high clouds or some scattered low clouds, and it's very difficult for us to see it too. We'll give you a quick shot on the interior now, and then we'll terminate this pass. We'll go inside now.
Roger, very good. Thank you much for the view. We'll be standing by for the inside. Hello, Apollo 10, Houston, you're coming in on the black and white monitor now. Ken, we have the color now. The resolution on the 85 is I think better than most expected here. The sun is pretty bright in the background, coming in through the I guess that's the hatch window, side window, I guess it is. The patch is visible, but it's pretty dark due to the background being so bright. Over. 10, do you read? Over.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Roger. Thought we'd lost voice there for a moment. You're coming in 5i now. We got your arm patch now that's very dim at this setting. We had Gene's smiling face there for a minute along with the patch. The flag is coming in a little bit better now. However, it's still pretty dark due to the bright background. That's a lot better there, 10. Over. There, we have a good view now. Now we can see Gene again in his... We see you waving, Gene. Barbara's in the viewing room. She says hi.
A little difficult to get the proper lighting up here, Charlie. The spot's flooded out, and we got to deflect the light.
Roger, we see you trying hard on the thing. It looks like the ALC is averaging out, and the background looks real good, the spacecraft back along the hatch. Tom's hand is covering his window, is real clear. His face is dark, though. Over.
That's those whiskers there, Charlie.
I see. Thank you very much, John. That wasn't quite...
It was called about a 70... That's known as a 72-hour shadow, Charlie.
Yes, sir. Apollo 10, Houston, we now have the 210 at Goldstone. The granularity and the resolution is a heck of a lot better here. You're coming in real great. Over.
Okay. There's our overhead hatch window there.
Houston, we see some specks on your hatch window. Could you comment on those?
Yeah, they come from the dumps that we're making overboard as we progress along. I don't think any of it is due to the thruster firing, Charlie.
Roger.
Houston, the hatch window is phenomenally clear. There's what appear to be a few dust particles on the outside, maybe a couple smear prints on the inside. The right-hand window has got a little bit of a smear on the outside, not necessarily particles, but just a general smear. And the left side window has got some definite particles lashed across it. You got it? We're not very good at this camera work, but we're probably approved for practice. Here, we'll show you the navigator down in the LED.
Roger, 10, we have no complaints at all. It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, he's the star of the cast because he gets all the good light down there.
Roger, there's old John's friendly face.
John's pointing right now at the sextant and a telescope, which are our navigation means to get home.
and hopefully to do part of the rendezvous.
Yeah, this is the best working part of the whole machine. It's really working beautiful now.
Got a good operator. Dan, Houston, show us the piece of tape that you have around the eyepiece. There's one on the bottom of the sextant and on the right-hand side of the telescope. Oh, roger. Thank you much, Dan. We see it. You know, once you lose that thing in here and you have to look for it for about 20 minutes, you find a way not to lose it again.
Well, it wasn't quite 20 minutes, but it sure was a scramble going for it, I'll tell you that.
Roger, we copy. We have you entering the lunar penumbra at this time. Do you notice the sun setting at all? Over.
I can't see the sun right now, Charlie.
Roger.
We're not in the right attitude to see it.
In this attitude to look at the Earth and everything, we can't get a picture of the sun that we can see. If there's any solar corona, we'll give it a quick shot.
Roger, Jack is estimating you'll have about 30 seconds only, over. Okay, Charlie, it appears that the sun's reflection on Snoopy here is getting a little bit dimmer. So we very well could be where you say we are. I hope we are. Your friendly Fidos will bet on it.
Navigating here.
Yeah, I guess we are too, aren't we? Roger. I never doubted him anyway. I just, like I said yesterday, I'll wait until I see that 60 nautical miles. Dan, Houston, does it look any different upside down there?
Pretty interesting start.
Houston, does it look any different upside down there?
The stars are 180 out of the position they were before.
That's one thing about this environment. If you don't like it, just turn upside down.
Roger, Dan.
Okay, Charlie, we'll terminate this pass with one quick look outside and see how the 210-foot dish looks at the Earth from outside, okay?
Roger, 10, we're standing by, over. Charlie, it's definitely getting a little darker outside. Roger, 10, that's good news, over.
Looks like we're right on trajectory then. Okay, here's another look at the Earth through the 210-foot dish at Goldstone. And I hope the colors are coming through a little better. Again, the west coast of North Africa is still a bright orange. And the central part of North Africa is starting to turn purple as nighttime approaches over the western part of Libya and the eastern part of Tunisia. Again, it's awful hard to see Spain because Spain is a greenish brown this morning. You have the Mediterranean and the Atlantic covered with some clouds, so it's awful hard to see any part of Spain. But again, the Earth dust this morning looks a little bit smaller than a tennis ball, as we're 210,000 miles from the Earth and now less than 9,000
miles to go to the moon. This is Apollo 10 signing off. We'll see you later today.
Thank you much for a good show, 10. Appreciate it. The 10-foot dish, 210-foot dish has given us a very good resolution, and the colors are a lot sharper. Over.